say Alaniz that I'm kind of like, fuck, am I the one saying it wrong? Is it my fault? Am I the problem? I don't know. Tough to say. It's so cool being here with all of my people that I brought. This is the best way to do comedy in front of people who already kind of think you're funny. So like, honestly though, if I was like really bad, they'd be like, well, I'm not talking to you tomorrow. So that might be worse, to be honest. But my last name is Alaniz. It's Mexican, so obviously means that I am a diversity hire. I am Mexican, and most people think I'm white. And when I tell them I'm Mexican, the response is always the same. It's always, I can see that. I can see that. I'm like, oh, what do you see? Do I look like I'm good at swimming and climbing walls? Is that what you're thinking? Or do I look like I have more baby daddies? Is that what you think about me? Is that what's coming from it? I don't know. I'm curious to know. But I get it though. I look entitled and like I'm about to complain about things. Or like I have HOA fees and like I only have sex with the gardener. Like it's giving PTA president. I get it. It makes sense. I am Mexican. It's fun. I like it. Something, well, I say you might not know about me, people in this corner. I'm not a tall woman. I'm a petite woman. And it's great. There's so many benefits to it. But recently, I learned there's something I can't do. And you might have guessed it. It's wear baseball hats. I can't wear baseball hats. Because baseball hats are meant to cover things that are like above you, right? Like the sun and stuff. But you know what else is above me? Every fucking body. Okay? Like, I have to already look up to people when I'm talking to them, but you throw a baseball hat on top of that, and I'm like looking up, leaning back, doing like Cirque du Soleil stuff that you usually have to pay for me. I mean, take me on a date to do. It's like it's not great. So what I'm saying is like, don't get me a baseball hat for Christmas, okay? Friends. What else about that? Another thing, I've been going to therapy lately.
Woo!
Be noted, that might be the best applause I get all night for therapy. I've been going to therapy, and I like it. I like my therapist. Every time I talk to her, I feel lighter. I feel better about myself. But it took me a while to find one I actually liked. The first one I had, she was a little bit older, and when I would talk to her, and I'd be like, I'm feeling like lonely, I'm feeling depressed, her response was always the same. It was always, oh, yeah, that's tough, Jessica. Like how someone would respond to a toddler who was upset no one wanted to play with them at the park that day. Like a little patronizing, kind of concerned, but like definitely condescending. So I was like, oh, that's tough. Yeah, babe, I know. That's why I'm here. Help me. Like, what are you talking about? And then I had another one. She was cool until I went through a bad breakup, and I was telling her, like, I don't think I'm ever gonna meet anybody. I don't know. And she was like, well, Tracy Ellis Ross is alone. She doesn't have kids. She's never been married. And she has a great life. She's traveling the world having fun. Yeah, babe. She's Tracy Ellis Ross, dude. Like, she's Diana Ross's daughter. What are you talking about right now? Like, we were dealt a different hand of cards in life. Like, I'm confused why you're confused about this. Like, I know what you're trying to tell me right now, but all I'm getting from this story is that money does indeed buy you happiness. The one I have now, she's cool. I like her a lot. We're about the same age, so it's easy to open up to her. But I think she forgets that she's being paid to do a job when we talk. Like, it ends up just being two girlfriends shooting the shit. Like, I told her one day, I said, hey, I met a guy, and he actually used to be a cast member on Lindsay Lohan's Beach House. And immediately, she was like, what's his name? Tell me about him. Googled him, FBI research on him, and then was like, oh yeah, this is where he's from New York, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, good to know that he's a Leo and potentially we could be a match if his rising matches mine, but I feel like there could have been a better use of time right now. Like, I don't know how this works really, but I don't think that was the way we should have done this. And even like the other day I was talking to her and she got on the call and she was like, Jessica, I am so annoyed today. And I was like, oh yeah, you first. You're me first. I'll go second. She's cool. And I was in a sorority in college, so like I'm used to paying for my friends, so it's fine. It's fine, I don't mind it. I'm also the youngest of 4. I know you guys have siblings. Anybody have siblings? I'm the youngest of 4. It's fun being the youngest. I really respect and admire my mom. The older I've gotten, the more she's become like my best friend. Well, she's more like that friend that I haven't seen in a while. So you call up and you're like, hey, we should hang out. And then 10 minutes into hanging out, you're like, fuck, I remember why we don't hang out. She's more like that friend to me. But I respect her a lot. She raised me and my siblings by herself. She got us all through high school, through college. Between the 4 of us, there's 6 master's degrees, which is impressive for my siblings who each have 2 master's degrees. The closest I've gotten is Googling to what GRE means. And I'm not a good test taker, so do not ask me because I do not remember. She's really cool though. I know I can go to her for anything except dating advice because it's always the same. She's always like, Jessica, well, you're 33, just settle. I'm like, oh, okay, Mom. She's like, okay, well, don't settle, but you should definitely lower your expectations. I'm like, that's worse advice. Like most parents tell you, like, shoot for the stars, you deserve nothing but the best. But my mom is like, shoot for mediocrity and keep your fingers crossed. Like, it's not the best advice, I wouldn't say. She's cool though, I respect her a lot. I am single. Any else? I am single, I like it, I don't mind it. I am single and I recently, well, I'll say this first. People who are in relationships should not be giving single people advice because it's a completely different field. So stop doing it, first off. Because the advice is always the same. The advice is always, well, when you least expect it, it'll happen. Okay, babe. As a woman who runs off of coffee and anxiety, I'm never not expecting everything to happen all the time, all at once. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready for that scenario, and if that doesn't happen, I'm ready for that scenario. And if that doesn't happen, I know 5 other ways this could possibly play out. Like, what are we talking about right now? I'm confused why you're confused about this. Doesn't make sense to me. The second thing they love to say is like, well, pick up a hobby, and then you'll meet somebody doing something you like. A hobby in this economy? You're crazy. Like, hobbies require supplies. They require time and money. I'm not doing that. That's dumb. That's dumb. Don't nobody say that to anybody anymore, okay? It's fine. Being single is okay because there are dating apps, right? Like, everybody hates them. Except for Joe, who likes them. No, dating apps aren't the worst. I mean, I use Hinge. That's my preferred one. Are you like promoting them? I took a Tom Brady retirement from dating for a hot minute, but then obviously I re-downloaded Hinge.
Tom Brady.
And it's not terrible, but I did meet somebody, and the first person I matched with, his name was G, just the letter. And I was like, okay, maybe his name's like Garfield, right? He doesn't like it. So I was like, hey, what's your name? What's the G short for? And he was like, what are you talking about? That's my lucky letter. I was like, oh, my bad. Sorry, what's your name? And he's like, it's Richard. I was like, okay. He's like, what's yours? He's like, well, it's Jessica. What the app says. I didn't realize that was a suggestion for some people. Like, dating apps don't have to be hard, but then people do dumb shit, like put their lucky letter as their name. And it's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I did recently go on a date with a guy who's a Navy veteran, because I do it for the troops. I went on the date with him, and it was all fine until, a few minutes into the date, he was telling me, like, he used to live with 2 of his ex-girlfriends, separately, not at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, a guy who can commit, green flag. And then later on in the date, he was like, you know what, when I said girlfriends, I actually meant ex-wives. I was like, oh my God, a guy who can lie, green flag. I was like, no, that's gonna be the end of the date. Obviously I went home with him going to leave him hanging. But I honestly think that might be why Hillary didn't win, because she only slept with Bill Clinton, and he never served in the military. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you sleep with guys in the military, you're basically qualified to be president. That's what I hear, so.